Welcome back to the exciting sequel to Robots of Dawn, starring Ligi Bailey's robot partner. But that's not even how his name's spelled in the book. But is this like the Polish or something? Cover printed in USA? What edition is this? Is that even right? Like, that seems wrong to me. Del Rey, Ballantine Books. No? Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, Part 4, Aurora. So this whole section, let me get over to where I want to be. This looks like about the right place. Is Dr. Amadiro is having a flashback. Like the first 3 chapters or whatever this is him flashbacking. And during this flashback, it's just a whole lot of the bad guys talking to each other. There's just Amadiro received his reports for 9 days. So from here on page 263 all the way up to page 274 is just Amadiro talking to Mandamus, and Mandamus is going through this incredibly convoluted backstory. Instead of just being like, yo, Doc, here's my evil plan. He's like, so, Doctor, Earth is unique. Yes? Earth is unique because it has tides. That's true. Earth is unique for this other reason. Also interesting. But there are other worlds that have some of these properties, and we don't see that evolution was speedy on those worlds. Interesting. Please go on. And they just go on like this for forever. Now, before we even got here, way back in at the end of the Celeria section, like all the way back over here, I kind of guessed what the evil plot was going to be. I kind of guessed it, and sure enough, I get in here, and well, I knew what it was, and later on it was confirmed. But right here, page 273 of this edition, Dr. Mendamus, the sidekick, the evil sidekick, Gladia's great grandson, gets to the point where he explains his plan to Dr. Amadiro. And instead of just telling us what the plan is, after dragging us along on 20 pages of him talking about the plan, we skip over the plan entirely. The young man was not a crank. He might be wrong, but he was not a crank. Amadiro was not a planetologist, so he'd have to check books. Spoken of possible destruction of Earth. Is there some connection between that and Earth's properties? We can take advantage of the properties. Blah, 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 blah. It's just wild, dude. The plan of the daughter. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not actually there yet, are we? It just goes on forever, dude. And then he like flashes back to some stuff about Fastolf, and he flashes back to yada yada, and it just goes on and on and on. Vasilia, Dr. Fastolf's daughter, shows up. Like, I can't find the exact place. Oh, here we go. We're on page 283, and he's still going on and on about Earth is unique. Then came a triumph. It was yeah, that was it. Amadiro first felt a huge sense of relief. So, look, instead of just telling us what the plan is and treating us like adults, the plan has to be kept secret for whatever reason. He talked easily and with due economy, as though he were going through an exposition that he frequently rehearsed and polished for the very purpose of presenting to Amadiro, and Amadiro found it himself increasingly absorbed. That was it. He felt a huge sense of relief. He had been correct to gamble on the young man. Then came triumph. It would surely work. Of course, the young man's view veered a bit from the path Amadiro felt right to follow. Blah, 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 blah. Modifications could be made. I knew what their plan was, bro. I ain't gonna spoil it, but I knew what their plan was. And we just spent like, what is that, 30 pages or something? Talking about the plan, and then we get to the point where we need to hear about the plan, and we don't hear about the plan. Meanwhile, Vasilia, Dr. Fastolf's daughter, shows up, and she starts talking about how she's figured out Giscard is telepathic, and that they need to get Giscard away from Gladia. And the whole end of the book, or into this section of the book, which should be titled The Duel, I think. Hold on, where's that at? Well, somewhere here. Oh yeah, they're telepathic robot telepathing. Come on, where's the duel bit? Yeah, so they have a confrontation, and Daniil has invented the 0th law of robotics, and thus he's no longer bound by the 3 laws or whatever, and yada yada. Like, There's just so much talking here, and there doesn't need to be. Now, some of it was kind of interesting. But even like Vasilia, when she's talking, just like Dr. Mandamus did, she goes on and on and on and doesn't come to the point. It's crazy. The bad guy, Amadiro, is like, are you going to get to a point anytime soon? She's like, please, you need to listen to me go through my whole speech before I will tell you what this is all about. And we are just forced to be dragged along with it. Which is a shame, because the very end of the chapter, when they have a confrontation between the robots and Vasilia, is actually kind of interesting how they're like logic battling each other. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, sure, they're not like engaging in fisticuffs or whatever, but trying to outthink each other is definitely neat. Unfortunately, we had to go through the other... How many pages? Like 80 pages of this that didn't really need to be here. Oh, and the telepathic robot chapter is Giscard mind controlling them to go to Earth or something. Like, I feel some very strong ethical concerns about what Asimov is talking about in this book. I really do. So yeah, it's a weird chapter. And it commits one of the gravest sins of like a mystery story, which is withholding information from the reader. Like, people give mystery writers flack for that, and they do it. Go watch a detective movie on TV, and in many of them, you will simply not have the information you need to put the case together. It was never presented on screen. That's how bad stories do it. Good stories, they just give you the information that you need. And then they twist it in a clever way and make you think about it. But bad stories just hide it from you. And this one kind of hides it from you. Although I guess if you're me and you guessed it back in the Solaria part what was going to go down, it's maybe not such a surprise, but... Look, I'm just saying, like, when those two robots were talking about Earth, a whole bunch, and a menace against Earth, I kind of knew where it was going, alright? We might talk about the exact nature of the plot and how silly it is if I do... No, I'm going to do another video. Who are we kidding? Who we kidding? I got one more section of this book to go through, and I have some strong ethical concerns I need to address. So we'll take care of that in the next video.